Hello, Laurel School District. Again, my name is Leonard Rich, and I am the superintendent. And I'm here to explain to you our plan on reopening schools under attestation guidelines. So, since the week prior to Christmas, the administration team has been working on a plan to reopen schools. That plan was then reviewed by the board last night, January 6th, and was reviewed by the pandemic committee on Thursday, January 7th, and is ready to be revealed to you. So, this is our return to school plan adhering to attestation guidelines. This plan adheres to the guidelines of the attestation form. You may or may not be familiar with the requirement that schools received from the state in the month of, in the month of November, and that by December, we had to attest to what we were doing, full remote or some degree of in-person instruction. But if we did in-person instruction, we must do the following, X, Y, and Z, which I will review with you through this message. What do we need to do? Well, first of all, we need to follow the mask mandate. It's very clear. No mask, no entry, and I'll get into that later. We need to report any confirmed cases, which we do. We will perform social contact tracing, which we have done in the past. And if we get a number of cases that require us to close a building, before that building opens, we will clean and sanitize, which we have done. So the plan assumes the following. As I said before Christmas, no students will return back to school the week of January 4th. This plan is a staggered return to school plan based upon building and age. So let's start with what occurs on Tuesday, January 19th. Okay? So on Tuesday, January 19th, we are going to bring back the youngest in both buildings. First of all, we're going to bring back the youngest among us who need it the most, K-2. There will be an option to return to in-person instruction, but the synchronous option will remain and the asynchronous option will remain. Your building principal, Mr. Swerblier, or when it comes to the middle high school, Mr. French will be doing the same thing, is going to send out a survey so we can plan on how many students are looking to come back and how many students are looking to take advantage of synchronous or asynchronous options. On Tuesday, January 19th, 3 through 6 and 9 through 12 will remain full virtual remote learning. And there's a rationale why, and I'll explain. But just as far as an outline, as far as what's occurring on Tuesday, January 19th, K-2 and 7-8 will have the option to come back. 3 through 6 and 9 through 12 will remain in full virtual remote learning. 2 days later, on Thursday the 21st, K-2 will remain open. 3 through 6 will then join them. 3 through 6 will have the option to return to in-person instruction, again, with synchronous and asynchronous accommodations available. 7th and 8th will remain open, and 9 through 12 will remain virtual. Now, the idea is that K-2 is going to be like day one all over again, establishing rituals and routines. When do we go to the bathroom? Where do I sit? How do I do this? How do I do that? Separation anxiety. So for all those things, we're giving 2 days of priority just to K-2 because it may require some additional staff to be pulled to help navigate those first 2 days with those younger grades. So that precludes 3 through 6 from returning, but it does not preclude 7 through 8 returning. But why remain 9 through 12 on full virtual remote learning? Those are the oldest students. Those are the students with the most freedom. They are the most likely to have participated in larger social gatherings. So we are separating them from the holiday as much as we can and separating them from any potential surge prior to their return. Now, on Monday, January 25th, K-8 will remain open, and 9 through 12 will have the option to return to in-person instruction with synchronous and asynchronous accommodations available. Again, this provides for an opportunity to enforce our stricter masking policy by bringing in 7-8 first and then 9 through 12. This also provides space between the holiday season and chances of community spread in the students with the greatest freedom, as I've said. And it also creates over 3 weeks from the new year for any cases to become symptomatic from the holiday. We may indeed have a surge. So that is the outline. Let's put some meat on the bones. Please keep in mind that the district appreciates and welcomes feedback. We have solicited some concerns regarding our upcoming reopening, and we intend to address these concerns one by one, each and every one. If you have a concern not addressed here, please email us, call us, whatever your means of communication, and we will address. Please keep in mind, this situation is fluid and remains fluid. As other questions, comments, or concerns may arise, they may be added to this document. And this document will be posted on our website. Please feel free to keep the lines of communication flowing. When are we coming back? How are we coming back? Well, prior to Christmas break, the administrative team developed a proposal for the return to school. The proposal needed a consensus from the Board of Education as well as feedback from the pandemic response team. In a video I released prior to Christmas break, we told the community that nothing would be done the week of the 4th, but they would get information the week of the 4th about the week of the 11th and later. The plan, as previously described, has the consensus of the Board of Education, has been reviewed by the pandemic team, and now is able to be released to you. District-wide communication is occurring as promised during the week of the 4th. It is occurring on January 7th. District administration is going to meet with both faculties, separate meetings the morning of the 8th and with the plan starting on the 19th. I will be meeting with the elementary faculty at 9 o'clock tomorrow and the high school faculty at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Some people are concerned with reopening when families have traveled for Christmas and New Year's and the county rates have not changed. Why now? What was the shutdown for at that point? Why close it all? I know this can be put to a bigger picture regarding Governor Wolf's reopening statement on the 4th. So positivity rates are high. They're over 100. They're in the middle 200s. You know, they were up above 400. So, but there also is evidence coming that schools are not the super spreader events, but rather social gatherings are. So the details of the plan hope to address concerns regarding possible exposure or contact with people from outside the family, community, state, etc. Some of the latest scientific information supports bringing students back to school. Moreover, students remain at low levels of contraction. Governor Wolf, in his recent address with Dr. Levine was quoted as saying that schools need to reopen. Dr. Levine from the Department of Health and Secretary Ortega from the Pennsylvania Department of Education held a news conference today, January 7th, and encouraged schools to reopen at least for K-6 students, students with an IEP, and other targeted populations. We closed school in November under those guidelines at that time. Since November, the schools in Pennsylvania had to complete an attestation form. The attestation form does not speak to the dashboard. The attestation form demands that if a school returns to in-person learning during the substantial phase, what must they do? And again, we must mask, we must report cases, we must contact trace, and we must clean and sanitize if our case count gets too high and we close a building. So, our mask policy will be robust. Masks must be worn by students entering the building, while in the building, during class, exiting the building, etc. Progressive discipline will be utilized if a student is non-compliant. And I'm going to get into a little more detail in question number or statement number 3. Now, if we reopen and we have cases, we must report those cases to the Department of Health. We have done so, we will do so. If we reopen and have cases, we must perform social contact tracing and inform those people who need to be quarantined as a close contact, as well as those who were exposed. Think back to some of the language from previous messaging. Who has contracted the disease, who has come in close contact with those who have contracted the disease, and who has merely been exposed. Those are different levels, from most severe to least severe. If you have 4 or more cases in your building on a rolling 14-day calendar, then you must close. If you close, it is recommended to remain so for 3 to 7 days. During that time, you must clean the building. Once the building is clean, you may reopen and your case count goes back to 0. Therefore, can you reopen prior to the 3 days? According to the Department of Health, it is a local decision. We have 3 relatively close school districts to draw upon for examples: Hermitage, Grove City, and Karn City. I have spoken to all 3 superintendents from those school districts at length. Hermitage has never closed due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Grove City was open for 11 weeks, closed, and is planning to reopen this month. Karn City, which is in multiple counties, all of which substantial, Butler, Armstrong, and Clarion counties, has been open the entire school year. The superintendents have shared their experiences with me, and as a result, we can benefit as we plan our future. And by way of anecdote, the majority of schools in Mercer, Butler, Beaver, and Lawrence counties intend to reopen or stay open in some capacity during the month of January. Schools can safely reopen during the substantial phase. The attestation form provides a path. If and when we return, what is the procedure for students who repeatedly show up without masks? We need a clear-cut protocol that does not fall back on teachers being the mask police daily. There is a concern that students who are allowed in the building unmasked, side note, who is manning the buses, entrances, etc., then refuse one or will note, keep it on, and then sent to the, and will not keep it on, and sent to the office. Will they be sent back to class or will they be picked up? Okay, let's talk in depth about masking, right? So if we return, our mask policy is simple. No mask, no entry. All students who plan on attending in-person instruction must wear a mask, not a shield. Students must continue to wear a mask while in the halls, in the classroom, entering the cafeteria, through the line, and exiting the building. District employees will have facial coverings that are suitable for performing their job duties, masks, shields, gaiters, etc. Now, your student has asthma. Your student has another medical condition. What are we going to do? If a student has a documented medical condition, and it must be from a diagnosis from a healthcare provider, then they may attend in-person instruction and wear a shield. All students must have an appropriate face covering. So they're going to have something. And if you have a documented medical excuse and we have that excuse on file, you may wear a shield. Students who do not mask will be dealt with as a violation of the student code of conduct. Some elementary students may be housed in the office until a parent or guardian can come pick them up. The conclusion, all students in attendance for in-person instruction will be wearing a mask or other appropriate face covering. As I said, medical excuse equals shield. District personnel will continue to be stationed at entrances to the building with masks to offer students. You forget one, fine, here you go. We will detain mask refusals and take them to the office. Teachers will also have extra masks to offer students if one is missed at the entrance or loses their mask on the way to their classroom. If that student refuses, the teacher should send them to the office. In regards to masking, persistent violation of masking may be interpreted as a major violation. If a student does not have a mask on, they will not be permitted to return to class. If a student is seen for multiple violations of the masking policy, that will follow progressive discipline. Repeated improper masking will lead to detention, etc., just as repeated disregard for school rules. Now, lunch and recess may be a particular elementary concern and continue to be a concern for elementary staff, particularly with the lack of social distancing. What about exposure of hundreds of kids unmasked through the day to our cafeteria workers, support staff, custodial secretaries that man lunch and recess? The elementary school will be using additional areas during meal service, and we will accomplish social distancing. Students will have to wear a mask in the cafeteria line and may only remove it to eat. Cafeteria staff may instruct students to place their mask on their face. Failure to do so will result in appropriate disciplinary action. As far as recess, we are going to utilize indoor recess for the foreseeable future. Keep the same kids with the same kids. We will have a collective decision, or we'll make a collective decision when we change that protocol. Will there be another communication to families regarding the updated mask policy in case they do not watch the video you sent out? Absolutely. The district will have clear and concise communication with our families. We're going to do an all call. We're going to push this document out to every email we have, not only Laurel emails, but any parental emails. In addition to the video before break, future district communication will emphasize the change in policy as well as enforcement, consequences, etc. Additionally, there may be a major substitute shortage in the near future. We are already bare bones and struggle to secure substitutes. What is the plan when there are not enough teachers to cover classes? Will classes be split up? Will classes be canceled? We need a plan for this because it will happen. We will utilize our existing day-to-day substitutes. If coverage is needed, that will be a building level responsibility. Similar high school administration may cover classes with prep periods, available personnel, etc. What about those students and families that have been picking up meals? You can still do that. The cafeteria staff will still continue to pack meals. Prepared meals will be available for pickup on Wednesdays and Fridays. Those days and times remain the same as during the shutdown. Will there be social distancing on the buses? We need to provide everybody an assigned seat, whether you use the bus or not. Therefore, social distancing is going to be difficult on the bus. We don't have extra buses. We don't have extra drivers. We don't have extra bus runs. We are encouraging independent transportation if you can. This will free up space on the bus. Regardless, buses are going to be loaded from the back to the front. Assignments are going to be designated from the back to the front. The last onboarding student will sit nearest to the front of the bus. Siblings and neighbors are going to be seated close to one another. A seating chart will be created to assist in social contact tracing if necessary. Does my child have to come back? What are my options? All families have the same 3 learning pathways available to them: in-person instruction, synchronous instruction, asynchronous cyber program. If families are not comfortable with the in-person learning, they may choose synchronous or asynchronous learning. We have said previously that if a student is participating in our asynchronous cyber program, they must stay there for 9 weeks. We are also going to adjust our synchronous programming because our teacher needs time to prepare materials if you're staying on synchronous. We find it necessary for planning purposes to demand that students, if you elect to go synchronous, that you stay there for 10 days. Now, this does not preclude a student who's home ill. Hey, I don't want to miss math class. Log on. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about students who elect to use this as their learning pathway. If you're ill on the day or short term or in quarantine or pre-existing condition and you need to use synchronous, fine. But if you're healthy and you are just electing to stay on synchronous, you need to be in good standing. You need to have a good attendance record, less than 4 absences in the previous 9 weeks. You need to have good behavior, no suspendable disciplinary action. And you need to have good academic performance, at least a 2-point GPA or nothing lower than a C on the most recent report card. So that's the plan. Again, created by humans, holy and perfect, worthy of criticism, and we welcome it. But please understand that we are balancing the safety of everybody involved, and we would never jeopardize the safety of students, staff, etc., with the needs of our students. Our students need to be in front of teachers. That is the singular best option to their education. We are concerned about academic deficits. We are concerned about anxiety, other mental health, depression, suicidal ideation. The laundry list goes on. We are always trying to do the very best we can for the Laurel School District. So, as we are beginning this new year, we have a new opportunity. It will start very shortly. Again, this video will be shared with the public. It will be placed online, and our plan document will be shared with the public and placed online as well. And never forget that, as my father used to say, we are doing 3 simple rules here at Laurel. We go, we're supposed to go, we're there on time, and even with this return to school plan, we are doing and using our God-given abilities to do the very best we can. Have a great day, and remember, you are Laurel.